All right, so Nina Turner got destroyed. I mean, I'm just, let's just start the segment off with that. We all love Nina Turner in this chat. If you don't love Nina Turner, I suggest you unsubscribe. I suggest that I don't know, read a book or something. Anyway, but she lost. Chantel Brown defeats Nina Turner in tense Ohio rematch. The rematch was quieter. The fissures that emerged between different factions of the Democratic Party during last year's contest remained. I disagree with that part. I would say the corporations definitely made a lot of ground. Like, the idea that the factions remained as they were in the last cycle, the Progressive Caucus got bought and paid for. Mark Pocan went on national television and lied, saying that the Congressional Progressive Caucus unanimously voted to endorse Chantel Brown, and then AOC endorsed Nina Turner. Now again, unanimous. If you want to say that, the Congressional Progressive Caucus overwhelmingly voted to endorse Chantel Brown, okay. But Mark Pocan went on national television and said it was unanimous. That means 100%. That doesn't mean 99%. 99% is not unanimous, right? So if AOC is going out there endorsing Nina Turner, Mark Pocan is saying that the Progressive Caucus unanimously supported Chantel Brown, someone is lying. And I'm going to guess it's not AOC, because what is she lying about? She has no position to lie. So Mark Pocan lying on national television. Pramila Jayapal, Ro Khanna, I mean, these are all sellouts. These are garbage fucking losers. I'm just being honest. Like, it's just like, they're garbage. They're all trash. And I have a big question. Where the fuck was the rest of the squad on this one? Now, again, as I've been saying, if Nina Turner and the squad had made some deal where it's like, all right, stay out of the race so that it's not as nationalized, see if we can float under the radar, see how that works out, as a science experiment just to see how it goes. If that's the case, I want to see some evidence of that. I want to see, do you have, a statement or a text message or, both parties coming out and agreeing that this was the strategy? Because if that's not the case, and everyone but AOC and the squad just kind of left her hanging high and dry, then that's a fucking problem. That's a problem. Now, in my opinion, it's not as much of a problem as endorsing her opponent, such as Pramila Jayapal, Mark Pocan, or the rest of those fucking cringe warriors that need to be primaried and gotten rid of. But it is a big fucking problem. It is a strategical disaster, catastrophe, assuming it was not designed to be that way by all parties involved. If Nina Turner hits up the squad and says, hey, I want you to stay out of this one just to see what having less eyes on our race does, just, if Nina was okay with that, then I'm okay with it. But I'm going to need to see some sort of statement from some of these people. But anyway, let's talk about this. We'll be getting in to some other things after this. Congresswoman Chantel Brown decisively won the Democratic primary in Ohio's 11th district Tuesday night, once again fending off progressive activist Nina Turner, who mounted a rematch bid against her this year. Turner and Brown faced off last August in the Democratic special election to replace Marcia Fudge, who left her seat in Congress to serve as the Secretary for Housing and Urban Development. Their race attracted swells of outside spending and drew intense divides between the moderate and progressive wings of the party. While the rematch was quieter, the fissures that emerged during last year's contest remained. Brown's brief tenure in the House won her endorsements from a number of key players, blah, 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 blah. Turner, however, still drew some endorsements from more progressive left, including Bernie Sanders and a number of outside groups. She argued Brown was too dependent on PAC money. That's factually true. That is factually true. Everyone in the chat right now, calm the fuck down. I got it queued up. Let me tell a fucking story here, okay? There's a multi-part story. You don't look at Nina Turner's concession speech before you describe what happened in the race. Come on, there's a multifaceted story here. Calm the fuck down, everybody. All right. Ohio's 11th district is heavily Democratic, meaning Brown is likely to face little contest from the Republican nominee. Turner, meanwhile, isn't expected to disappear from the world of progressive politics. Her name has been floated as a potential 2024 candidate for the presidency, with questions remaining on whether Biden will run for re-election. Her name's been floated. I wonder by who. I wonder if you click this link. I wonder, like, I'm genuinely curious, like, what happens if you click this link? Like, what is their evidence for this? Okay, this is just an older article. All right, well. Anyway, so once again, my opinion on this race is it was an uphill battle from the start. And once again, I'm really left bewildered at the Congressional Progressive Caucus. And by bewildered, I'm not really bewildered. That would imply that I'm confused. I'm not confused. I mean, they're corrupt sellouts. They were bought and paid for. The Congressional Progressive Caucus, including Ro Khanna, Mark Pocan, Pramila Jayapal, the rest of those fucking scumbags, they were bought. They have no, self-respect. They have no values. They don't care about anything or anyone. They're garbage. They're trash. And I'm left wondering what the fuck's going on with the rest of the squad that's not AOC and why they didn't involve themselves more in the race. Now, again, if Nina Turner hit them up and say, let's try to keep this one under the radar, don't do anything until maybe the day before, that's fine. But I'm going to need to see some evidence of that. Because in my opinion, if it's just there was no communication, there was no, coordination, and everyone in the squad besides AOC was just, too afraid to endorse her, and that was it, that's a fucking problem. That's a problem. I mean, if there was no strategy behind it, and everyone in the squad besides AOC was just afraid of what would happen if they endorsed Nina Turner, that's a fucking problem. Again, there's two levels and two layers to politics. There's one, policy, supporting and saying and wanting the best possible outcomes. And two, strategy. And we really need to understand, right? The Congressional Progressive Caucus, they're garbage on the policy. They're garbage on the strategy. Let's be honest. Right? They're better on policy than the corporate wing. Right? But they're overall not too good. They're milquetoast. Now, I would prefer them to corporate Democrats any day of the week. But the bigger problem with the Congressional Progressive Caucus is strategy. They have no strategy. In fact, their strategy is in the negative, right? Their strategy is to root for the opposing side, like Ro Khanna going on television giving interviews. Joe Manchin's a great guy. He's an ideological ally. He just has some questions. He's just asking questions. Joe Manchin just has some questions. He's not corrupt. How dare you say that? In fact, you saying he's corrupt actually is bad, and I'm so offended. Joe Manchin is a great guy. We played cards with him one day, and he's a really smart guy. He just has a slight differing opinions. Like, that shit, the strategy of the Progressive Caucus is negative, right? It is endorsing and using all of their energy to make sure that their opponent wins. That is the Congressional Progressive Caucus's net outcome when it comes to strategy. Now, they might be better on policy than Joe Manchin, but when their strategy is to make sure Joe Manchin wins at every step of the way, their policy no longer matters, right? And so this brings us back to the squad. The squad right now, as far as the entirety of Congress is concerned, has the best ratio of policy to strategy. Now, does that mean it's fantastic? Does that mean it's without possible improvement? Obviously not, right? But they've got the best policy, and it could be better. Let's be honest, right? We can always push them left. And they've got the best strategy out of any other group in Congress. Right? But again, the best, not really worth much, given the fact that they are 6 members out of an institution that has 435 if you're talking about just the House, right? So, but this scenario, right? If there is any reason other than Nina Turner had, the say-so on this. Like, if Rashida Tlaib was just like, oh, I love Nina, but I'm just really afraid to endorse her because I don't, X or Y, then that's a problem. That they're showing, I need to see a statement from every single one of these squad members besides AOC. And honestly, you know what? I would love to see a statement from AOC too, wondering why she stayed out of the race until Monday. Right? But I really need to see what some of these people have to say for themselves. Genuinely. Because this is indicative that the strategy of the squad is getting worse. This is indicative that they're running around like chickens with their heads cut off. They don't know what they're doing. And it's a problem. So, I just want to know what the fuck's going on there. I'm just curious. If someone can send me some materials, I would love to read those materials. But solidarity is the most important aspect of left-wing strategy. Right? Like, there's so many people that are running in much more vulnerable positions than Nina Turner. Nina Turner's got name recognition. Right? A lot of these other people running in these other smaller tier primaries, they don't have the same name recognition. Right? So, if we're in a situation where the squad is afraid to endorse primary challengers, and those primary challengers don't have the brand that Nina Turner does, that they have that support base that's just there no matter what, then that's a problem. So I hope that this is just an outlier. I hope that there's some sort of explanation as to why the squad did not endorse Nina Turner and why AOC did not endorse her much sooner. I hope that there is. I would like to assume that there is. But, again, it doesn't look good from the outside. I mean, it doesn't look good from the inside, right? Like, I consider myself someone that follows progressive politics relatively closely. I would say I follow progressive politics closer than 99% of people, and it looks bad to me. So, I don't know, man. I don't know. I'm hoping for the best, but you got to prepare for the worst in these instances. But anyway, let's get more into the Nina Turner race. There's a lot more to talk about. All right, so